Welcome to What If No One Answered the Call? I'm James Lodge here on JLJ Media. And so this person, I know him in a different way. He's one of my voice actors in several of my series, including Rapid Reed and the Speedster. He's great. We love him. And just a really good guy and fellow Boricua here in Los Angeles, like myself. And he actually has a full-time gig. He also served our country. Thank you for your service, sir.
Oh, yeah.
And that, but he actually works in fire prevention and inspections. We're going to talk about all of that. That's what this podcast literally is all about. Help me welcome Mike Mejia. Hi, Mike.
Hey, how you doing, James?
Very good. So, actually, we were talking before we came on.
Yeah.
Tell people out there what you do. We'll start with the basics of what you do.
Yeah, like I said, I moved over to the fire prevention role. I used to do wildland fire. I used to work on a truck and stuff. And actually I work part-time at an airport as a crash rescue fire, which I love. So I'm still, kind of getting that, like my fire with the crash rescue and and I love that aspect of fire. That's a whole completely different dynamic,
Okay.
of firefighting. But yeah,
Yes.
so prevention, I do like safety inspections, I do like plan review of a building, I do like pre-planning. I make sure that when you walk into a building, the occupancy loads and the loads for the building are applicable to fire standards. I make sure there's fire extinguishers in buildings and make sure no exit doors are blocked, all that, just fire prevention duties. I'm actually a prevention captain. I have people, that work for me too, underneath me. And uh and I'm also like an OSHA safety officer, which that's a whole nother thing dealing with OSHA. OSHA is
Yeah,
like,
I know. Yes,
you
I
know,
know.
yeah, and it's so OSHA is so annoying,
Uh,
and like,
they have a lot
but
of specific rules. They have a lot of specific rules.
yeah, they do. But I like that aspect. I like doing plan review. But people don't see that aspect of fire prevention, right? I mean, we do a lot of stuff that people really don't see. I mean, everybody thinks of firemen, even when I was a kid, it was like firemen, oh yeah, they're going in, putting out fire, saving lives, right? Which is true, yeah. And I give a lot of credit to those guys and the men and women that are fire, because there's both, and they're both phenomenal
Yes.
um, firefighters. I've worked with both, and the culture between it's a brotherhood, whether male or female, everybody's equal, so, and I love that aspect that anybody could, come in and do it and be accepted as a family, right?
Yes.
So, but nobody really listens to fire prevention, or they kind of look at us like we're nerds, like, oh, they do like the pre-planning and all that stuff, right? But it's actually very tedious. And I've read a lot of case studies where certain buildings have like people trapped, like that nightclub incident. I think it was back in '91, like in Rhode Island, where that couple of doors locked and people got trampled on and they couldn't get out in the fire. So that's where fire prevention comes. Those people could have been saved if somebody went in there and actually did a fire prevention inspection, make sure the exit doors were not blocked, right? Make sure that they weren't chained up. I mean, we do save lives in a different way, and we also help the firefighters, for like pre-planning of a building. Like they can come to me and say, "Hey, this building has this, this, this." I'm like, "Yeah, they got three exit routes, four exit routes. They have a second story, they have a third story. This is what you need to do." So, like a good fire prevention person would actually take that all into consideration. Like I said, a lot of fires happen in buildings that try to put like fire prevention under the table, right? They try to, oh, I'll pay this guy off, and then when stuff hits the fan, you know, it falls back like, well, they haven't had a fire inspection like in 3 years, right? So, so I'm working on I'm doing this fire alarm inspection for a building that hasn't had it since 2020 that I'm working on right now, and they're supposed to have it once a year. So, so now they're like, oh, and half the fire alarms don't work anyway.
Yeah, I know.
So,
Right. Yeah.
so yeah, so a lot of them don't even work now. So now it's going to be a whole big deal. They're going to have to retrofit, and this is a state facility, and they're going to have to retrofit, and it's going to cost like 15, $16 million to retrofit the fire alarms because nobody's done the fire inspections since 2020, and a lot of deficiencies in the fire alarms and the panels and all that stuff,
Yeah.
and if they would have got it done year by year, they could have taken care of it a little, little by little.
Right.
And now
Right.
with the yeah, and the fire codes now are starting to be more strict on certain things, which they should, because I mean, a lot of people lose their lives, in fires. A lot of people lose their lives due to negligence.
Yes,
So,
yes, you're right. No,
so
I've been in a fire before, so I know. I've been in a fire before. It's crazy, a home fire. It was
yeah.
crazy. I woke up to it. I woke up to it. It's crazy.
Oh yeah.
I did. It was faulty. My fire alarm didn't work. You know when it went off after the fire was already in my house. But then, I was like, then all of a
Oh
sudden
wow.
we're evacuating, and all of a sudden it starts going off. I go, really? No, you're not gonna go off.
Okay.
Yes.
I hope you had clothes on because I've seen evacuations where
Oh,
people are butt naked coming out. And I'm like,
um,
oh man.
for this podcast, folks, I'm sorry to give you a little TMI, but I was wearing. I only had a chance to have. I had some sweats, no underneath, a tank top,
Wow.
and then I had keys in my hand, my phone, and a cat. And then they go, you have to leave. So I grabbed
That's
some
funny.
dress shoes that I could slide my feet in, and I'm running down the stairs, and I'm in San Francisco where it's freezing. And I'm like,
Oh yeah.
I basically was almost half naked, Mike, when I left the house. The cat. Gotta save the cat. Gotta save the cat.
Oh yeah.
Um,
At least you saved the cat, right? The cat was
gotta save
cool.
the cat. Gotta save the cat. But no, so I was not. No, I was not prepared. It was a Sunday morning. I was not prepared for it. So no,
Right.
I literally woke up to the smoke in my house. Thank God I woke up.
That's
But anyway,
good. That's good.
but no, one thing about fascinating about you is that um, because there's, like I said, exits and entrances, fire extinguishers, and how accessible they are, right? What doors are locked, what doors are chained, how they open. So you have to know all that stuff, don't you, when you go into a space?
Yes. Yes. Yeah. And also too, like, um, of course, when you go into a room, you have to look at like, uh, if you like a kind of like analysis real quick, 360, see what's in there, see if, like the fire sprinklers are blocked. Because trust me, I've been in buildings where the fire sprinklers were blocked, like if the water came out, because there's a fire code where you can't have anything 18 inches, it has to be clear from the fire sprinkler to a box or whatever, in sprinkler buildings, right? So, I've walked into places where people have had like stuff hanging on the fire sprinklers, and they're not supposed to have stuff hanging on there. And I've
Hey,
seen where people
that's
put
supposed to, they always say, don't put a hanger up there, hang your clothes to dry
it,
on a
right.
fire thing all the time.
And the reason why is because somebody eventually did it. That's why I got those stickers up there.
Some dummy had to do it once, does it?
Yeah.
Yes. But yeah, I mean, I just wonder why people don't take it seriously. I guess because it seems like, oh, we won't have a fire. We'll be fine. Because also, you probably don't you also look at outlets
Oh
and
yeah, we have to look at like the outlets and also the how can I say the wattage of everything, right?
yeah,
So
sure,
th-
right.
there's a
Yes.
lot of there's a lot of overloaded circuits and people don't care. They don't care. They're just like, I got a hot pot plugged in here. I got this. I got that. I got, trust me, I've been to a lot of buildings where people have like hot pots and they have uh uh refrigerators all and like refrigerators are supposed to have like plugged into the wall, not an outlet, right?
Right. Yeah,
And
you're right.
then
That's how mine is. Yes, and so long.
yeah,
Yeah.
like microwaves too and stuff. But I see people, man, and the worst thing I see is daisy chains. Those are the biggest proponents of fire, and though or like I did an inspection one day, and this person had daisy chains, and over the daisy chain they had boxes piled up. I'm like, they really want to start a fire because if that thing sparked, those boxes catch on fire. I'm like, yeah,
Oh, wait. So are surge protectors good?
they are, but they're better. But you still can't. In certain areas, you can't use them as permanent wiring. I mean, you can, but you can't. I think there's like a 90-day window or something like that. That, but the daisy chaining is no. Daisy chains, we put extension cord into another extension cord to another extension
Oh,
cord.
yeah, yeah, no, I know.
Yeah,
Yeah. Growing up, we did it. Growing up, we did it. Of course, we're
yeah, we
poor.
did. We
Yeah.
did. We did. Like I remember, my pop used to do that, and then, like standing on top of a ladder, which you're not supposed to do. Standing
Right.
up there. But like, especially here in California, like the codes are becoming more, just everywhere in general, starting to get more strict because they're seeing all the faults of the past where nightclub fires where people are trampled on because like I said the doors are blocked or they don't have this sprinkler system hasn't worked for years, and nobody's tested it. So, it's just they're starting to see that more and more. And of course, there's been a lot of lawsuits. There's been deaths, injuries. So,
Yeah, because I remember there was the one with Great White, the group Great
Oh
White,
yeah, 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 yeah,
into pyrotechnics, yet in
yeah,
this small club. Like, whose idea was that? I'm like,
yeah.
you know, it was like it was
We,
outdoors, a big stadium. It was in an inside club, and I think some of
yeah,
the doors were chained or something on one side
yeah,
or
there
something.
was. Yeah, yeah. And this shit has somebody that's like at least standing behind the stage with a fire extinguisher or something, right? They didn't have
Yeah,
any of that stuff. And I think one of the band members died
yeah,
in that
yeah. And
fire.
people, and other people died too. People died. They
Yeah,
died. They got trapped in it. They
yeah.
died. Like that's woo. That's like because I. So wait, actually, I ask you this question. So with fire extinguishers, like at home, how many years should I replace them? I have a couple. I'm thinking they're probably old now. I probably should replace them.
Um, so I've seen builders, they're supposed to do it like once a year, but I think the extinguishers, like, as long as it's on full, you're fine. You just, shake it, and as long as it's on full, I guess it's fine. But I mean, I would just look into it like once a year. Then, of course, you gotta have the special extinguisher for the kitchen too, because that's class K, because that's a whole different element for, a fire extinguisher. So,
I didn't know that. Oh, okay, really? Okay.
yeah, so you can go to Home Depot and buy like a little extinguisher for your kitchen, right, to put out grease fires because
Oh,
you can't use a regular extinguisher on a grease fire because that'll make it spread. It won't work. So that's why all the kitchens, like if you walk into a restaurant, they have like a hood system and they
yeah.
have like a special agent because you can't use a regular extinguisher on, a grease fire. So, and please don't put water on a grease fire. Please don't
Oh,
do
yeah.
that. 'Cause that's
Don't
the
do.
worst thing in the world.
Yes, don't do that. I think so. When it comes to grease, you can do what? Sand or dirt? Not dirt, but like or
They
dirt.
say they actually say a lid when you're cooking, right? Have a lid, and the best thing to do is smother it, right? You smother it with the lid.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah, don't because I remember my cousins would make the fried turkeys outside in the big
Yeah,
pots, and one of them got on caught on fire. They're like, "What? Like no water, don't no hose, no."
yeah.
Oh my god, it'll blow up our house. Like we're not doing that. I just want some turkey. I'm not doing that. Um, wait, so how long have you been doing this?
So I've been, oh man, so I was a fireman in the army, right? I was a fireman in the army, my last stint in the army. And then I got out and, um, I've been doing fire since like maybe for like almost 18, 19 years.
Yeah, because you
So
said you're about to be 49, right?
yeah, yeah,
And we were joking before we came on. So,
yeah.
is it getting harder to climb up, climb down, crawl under? I mean, is it getting a little harder?
You know what? It is, but I stretch out every morning when I wake up, right? And I'm still big into martial arts. Like I'm huge into martial arts, so I still do my martial arts all the time. So that keeps me. And then, I have four kids I chase around, so I can't slow down. I can't. So
That's right. I think yeah, so you have four kids. That's right.
right.
Are they all school age? Or are any of them grown, or how are they?
I got a teenager. Because I started late because I was in the military, right? So when I got out, I kind of started late, to have kids. But my youngest is actually four. So So I'll be working till I'm 60 or 70 at least.
Yeah, exactly. But you're in a good profession. They'll
Yeah.
always need. So the training is because you had to learn because you have to learn rules and
Yes.
regulations plus
Right.
actual fire stuff. Also, do you
Right.
also learn EMS stuff? Like, do you learn any like CPR and that kind of stuff too?
Oh yeah, well see, since I work at yeah, well I'm a CPR instructor, so I've been teaching since 2014 CPR and that's CPR first aid and I've been actually busy lately. Everybody has been calling me to teach them and I teach first aid CPR, I teach American Red Cross and also AHSI, two different companies.
Good.
And but it's funny that whole aspect's a different aspect too because you know it changes every couple years. Like 4 years ago it was ABC, now it's
Yeah.
CAB. Now they're getting away from like the chest compressions. Like it's like it's like always something changing.
Everybody's cracking ribs. That's why they're pressing too
Yeah,
hard.
right. Yeah. So
That's
also
like,
I gotta keep my EMS up for the airport too. I mean, since I work as the crash rescue fireman at the airport, I gotta keep my EMT and my EMS up for that. So
which airport are you at?
Mojave Air and Spaceport.
Oh
It's
wow.
a little small airport. It's mostly like military stuff, and little private like aerospace companies. They have rocket test sites.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so
That's very cool. I mean, because you do that full time, and how long? I mean, is it all just in your brain now? Like it's all in your brain. You got it. Everything you need. So when you walk somewhere, you know what to do, or do you need to refresh yourself, or how does that? It's like a lot of knowledge you have to have.
Yeah, I like so. I mean, you know, my I know like the basics, but stuff changes all the time. I'm always like looking up stuff, and
Oh, okay.
sometimes I do miss stuff, right? Because fire codes are changing like constantly, right? But I mean, I just like I don't know. I've always liked that aspect, like the technical aspect of it. I've always liked that, so you know, I like that. And I like the fact that too that the airport, I get the physicality of that too, right? I mean, I still get to drive the crash truck, which I love, and put out a little brush fire if I have to, and I still go on wildland fires too. I mean, luckily for the Palisades fire, I wasn't on it, but I was on the previous fires in the past. I was like on three back to back, and
I was going to
and
ask
that's
about that. We had the big fires here in LA. I'm like, were you at any of them or no? You were in any of them?
yeah, I've been in a few of them,
Yes,
and that's a whole different dynamic too.
yes, yes. What? So
I came
what?
home like I came home, my lungs were all because I slept on top of the fire truck, right? And we didn't because we didn't have really any birthing or anything like that. So at the time for a couple of days, so I slept on top of the fire truck, and I came back sounding like I was smoking for years. I was like, "Hello, how are you?" Like that.
Yeah, right.
So
I should for audio drama then. Shit, I got to use that voice.
yeah,
Really. Um, no, but that's no, it's fun. No, that's because so for you, why fire? Why? How did that? I mean, so you did it in the army. What attracted you to that?
um, I don't know. I mean, it was just I guess I like being physical, and when I was first in the army, I was a military police, right? And then
I
I
was
got
going to
into
ask you, please.
yeah,
There's the
I got into the National Guard, and so I got into the active army. I was a Cad Scout. Then I joined the National Guard, and I was military police. And I went to Special Operations School, and I did all that for a while. And then they were like, "Hey, why don't what school would you like to go to?" I said, "How about 12 Mike, which is firefighter, right, in the army?" And they're like, "Okay." And so it's kind of bad, but I was like, "I want to get out." They're like, "What if you be firefighter school?" I said, "Okay, I'll stay in." Right. So I stayed in, did that, then I got out, right? I did it for like a year and then I got out, right? So, but it's crazy because like, when you go to like in Afghanistan, when we were deployed, I was deployed like as a fire, right? So, I mean, and what we mostly did was like just stay back, and we did go out sometimes with EOD, like because everybody in the army is trained infantry first. I mean, that might not be your
right, right,
specialty, but I was envious of some of the Air Force guys because those guys just stayed back, and hung out, and sometimes, I mean, like we wouldn't really go out as much, but since we were training infantry, like sometimes we'd have to go out with when they like EOD would like blow up stuff. We'd have to go out to make sure they didn't cause any fires or stuff like that. I mean, but like it just I was trying to get actually in the Air National Guard, and when I got out of the army, I was trying to get in the Air National Guard, but my hearing I have like tendonitis a little bit, so it wasn't too good. So when I went back to MEP, so.
wow. Well, no, we're glad you're in the fire space. That's good. You're helping people out, and that's. I mean, I'm telling people at home, fires happen so. I saw it with my own eye. It happens so fast.
Yeah.
They happen. So I mean, like literally, while you're thinking about it, things are burning down around you. Like it happens that fast. And so I always tell people, when you're driving, pull to the side, let these
Right.
folks go through because they need to get to. I mean, they actually saved my house when it happened in San
Right.
Francisco. They got there fast. But I see people who like don't want to pull over, and you know how LA is, and everybody's driving aggressively. I'm like, pull to the side, let them trucks go through because this is very
Right.
fires. And my fire was in a wall, and it was coming through. So I was just like, it was coming up and through. So I'm like, anything could have happened. We're just like, we just need to get them there. So all our fire people, get them there. And now that I'm older, because I used to go to club all the time, I don't club anymore. But that's over,
Right.
kid.
Right.
I never looked at stuff like that, like occupancy. Back in the '90s, they're piling everybody in together. We're all dancing and
Yeah.
drinking. Now I look at every exit. I'm like, where we go? What's going on? What's going on here?
That's
Every
right.
exit.
That's right.
Mike, thanks for being on the show, and thanks for all that you do for everybody out there. You are amazing. You know, I'm a big fan of yours, so I'm very amazing.
Thank you, thank
Thank you.
you. I appreciate it. Thank you for having me on here. It was a pleasure, and and I hope this reaches a lot of people, and I hope that they learn that fire prevention is actually really important too. You know, so I hope they get that at least a little bit from this. So
Very good. Fire prevention. Our show is called What If No One Answered the Call? And we're out every Friday. So check us out where you find your podcast. I'm James Lott Jr. We'll talk to you next time.
thank you.